For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
NewsSpin is the best. Listen up. NewsSpin is the best. Me say listen up massive. NewsSpin is the best, yeah. Better than every talk show. The most conscious monitor talk show all across the world. Check your signal, it blaze up your airwave. NewsSpin on your radio, hear me now. Tune in the frequency, come along, Junior. NewsSpin a vice up the place. NewsSpin is the best. Listen to the massive. NewsSpin is the best. Knowledge must abound. NewsSpin is the best. Fancy moon knock a play way. NewsSpin is the best. Papa Bond, yeah, by team, all man. A crappy land, all across the globe. Echoes of voices, we join in hand. How many rising with the afternoon sun? Come along, NewsSpin has begun. NewsSpin is the best. Better than every talk show. The most conscious monitor talk show in the world. The true facts about Sophia Volcano, Sandy Beach, Banana and Sneak Mango. Voices from the chat room, the capital Castries Hills. We feel you on Caribbean breeze. Teaching the truth, making hearts still ease. Knowledge must open up every mind. Learn about your island home. We leave no one behind. NewsSpin on your radio. Pull up the volume, Jay. NewsSpin on your radio. Pull up your seats. Afternoon time. NewsSpin on your radio. Come along. NewsSpin on your radio. Let the message strong. Shouts out to Tim on the NewsSpin call. Bridging gaps between the youth and the elders. We stand tall. Voices lift up high. I will like me word with our hymns. NewsSpin is the best. Better than every talk show. The most conscious monitored talk show in the world.
Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show. NewsSpin is on Power 97.9 FM. The broadcast is also on the NewsSpin Facebook page as well as the NewsSpin YouTube channel. As always, please don't forget, please like the video, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and click the notification bell, and that is to help the channel grow. We got up until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Later, your calls at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And Shanti already going through some of your comments in the chat rooms, and she'll have some updates to share with us. Let's say good afternoon to Mr. Vern Gard, and we'll hear from Mr. Vern Gard right now. We're taking you back to a comment that he made some 6 months ago, and then we'll have some more information to share with you on our broadcast.
The relationship between the Office of the Commissioner and the media is the most important relationship. I want to continue to be very open because I believe that law enforcement needs to be very transparent if we are to elicit a good national security environment. Community policing involves that kind of transparency. And we have to answer all the difficult questions, regardless of how difficult it may seem. And at least that will allay some of the fears and the issues that the public have.
Well, you just heard there from Mr. Vern Gard. And over the last few days, reporters have been posing questions to the island's Prime Minister and Minister with regard to Prime Minister and Minister with responsibility for national security regarding to Mr. Gard's future in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Because as of March of last month, his tenure, his contract ended as the island's police commissioner. Well, for me, the good news is his contract has been renewed. And as of April the 1st, 2026, that is today, he resumes the position of police commissioner of St. Lucia, and he has been granted a 2-year contract that goes up until 2028, April of 2028. You can recall that he was first granted a 6-month contract in September of 2024. In March of 2025, extended for 1 year, and now 2 years. So congratulations are in order to Mr. Vern Gard, St. Lucia's top law enforcer, St. Lucia's police commissioner, over the next 2 years. We're expecting great things from you. And I could tell you that as far as I am concerned, particularly relations with the media and also communicating directly with the St. Lucian public, and some of the measures that he would have introduced, I mean the gang, narcotics, unit that he introduced, certainly it has worked well alongside the head of that particular unit. They certainly have done a fantastic job, and congratulations are definitely in order to him. And the head of that unit, of course, is Mr. Siobhan Matthew. So great job, and we're expecting a lot more from you, Mr. Police Commissioner. Rest assured, from time to time, if we have to, we will be criticizing you. So again, congratulations. Now, my information is that the government wanted a particular individual to assume the position of police commissioner. That is my information. Not confirmed it. But in the end, the government of St. Lucia did not have any choice at all. And I cannot tell you why. I won't tell you why. They did not have a choice at all. And so they had to renew Mr. Vern Gard's contract. So let's leave it there. Somebody sent me a WhatsApp message earlier on today regarding the situation at the St. Jude Hospital. You remember there was this handing over ceremony of the buildings, which took place in November of last year. And on this broadcast in particular, there's a lot of haggling that was taking place as to whether the government should have indeed handed a fully commissioned hospital instead of just buildings. Well, we heard the defense that was put by the Prime Minister just before he announced the date for general elections that they never promised a hospital, and they promised to hand over the buildings. So don't expect at the time you're saying never promised that all the patients would have been removed or transferred from the George Odlum Stadium to the new facility, etc. And we know what transpired and the haggling and the confusion over this. But there are some concerns coming from a number of people, in particular, the employees of the health institution, who are grumbling behind closed doors, not coming to the fore to express themselves. I don't know what they're afraid of, but... So I got a WhatsApp message, and a number of questions are being posed to the authorities. And it says there, a few questions to the management of the St. Jude Hospital. 1, the laundry is commissioned. Why is it linen is being washed at St. Lucia Linen? That's 1. 2, is it true the CT scan is a small one that an average sized person may not be able to use? Another question. 3, is it true that the walls in radiology has no lead insulation as required and that they were advised not to commission it for use? 4, is it true the cafeteria was moved this week and all meals are being transported to the stadium, adding pressure on the staff? 5, is it true that there has been some water and electrical issues? Another question. 6, is it true that the overseas workers brought in by the contractor refuses to give the drawings of the electrical, plumbing, etc. to the staff because they want to be rehired? Another question. Is it true the moving date keeps changing? Very little communication with staff by administration. Another probe, another question, and the person is seeking answer to, why is it negotiations with the National Workers Union is going into 1 year with excuses upon excuses by management? And the final question, with a cafeteria complete, according to them, why is it food catering is being done by Goddard Catering? At what cost to a hospital that claims it has no money and cannot pay for medical supplies and staff salary increase? Questions being posed to the authorities, in particular the management of St. Jude, and likewise, I imagine, the Ministry of Health. Speaking at the handing over ceremony of the buildings was the MP, then MP for Mico South, Dr. Kenny Anthony, and former Prime Minister of St. Lucia. And he said during his contribution to that opening ceremony is that anguish at the St. Jude Hospital had been brought to an end.
This is a monumental occasion. It is a triumphant occasion. not only for the Prime Minister, his cabinet, and his government, but also for the people of St. Lucia. An anguish has been brought to an end, and now we can look forward to the future with greater confidence. The Prime Minister is absolutely right to make a distinction between a handing over of a building and the commissioning of a building. I do not understand what the confusion is all about or what the debate is about. The fact of the matter is that a handing over of a building is no more than confirmation that the contractual obligations have been met. The contractor has delivered. He was engaged to construct, to rehabilitate the building that he found, and he did so. Commissioning, as the Minister of Health will tell you, has to do with the operations, ensuring all the equipment is installed, ensuring all the equipment is functional, ensuring that all the systems of the hospital are in place and that the hospital is receiving its patients. So handing over signals completion of contractual obligations, which Reno has done, and commissioning means the systems have been installed and the hospital is ready to accept not just some, but all its patients.
You just heard there from the MP, then MP, speaking at the time, it was the MP for VA4 South, Dr. Kenny Anthony, and former Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Remember, we had a call as well to the broadcast last week. Somebody who sounds like a foreign national. And he did highlight some of his concerns with regard to the decision by the current administration to utilize the old structure instead of utilizing what is being described as the box that was constructed by the previous United Workers' Party administration. And so let's see, Mr. Producer, if we can listen to that clip of the caller to the broadcast. He sounds like, if I know the accents of our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, it sounds like somebody was from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we'll listen to that contribution that was made to the broadcast last week regarding the St. Jude Hospital.
Jude Hospital. I work in that old hospital and I work in the new one. And trust me, Tim, if that old hospital do open, there's gonna be a miracle, because the amount of problem that hospital had when I was working there, trust me, if me as a person who was working there have to tell you, you will hold your head and shake your head. Trust me, this government is taking St. Lucian for a ride. That's why this man coming on television and he always making a mockery. It's like a comedy show. And the people them that vote this man in power, I don't know what's wrong with them, but something is very, very wrong with St. Lucian. And if St. Lucian don't rise up now and take a stand, trust me, in the next couple of years, they will cannot do nothing but just let this man make them a mockery. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much. A caller to last week's NewsSpin program. Let's open the lines right now to take your calls at 452-2979. Once again, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. And Janti is here going through your comments in the chat room. Somebody says there, good day, Tim. I read the list of sponsors for St. Lucia Jazz today. and saw that Wasco was listed as a gold sponsor. Tim, what madness is this? This agency is unable to fulfill its mandate due to insufficient funds, among other reasons, but they are a gold sponsor. People have no water in their taps for months, but Wasco is sponsoring jazz. This government is taking money from one agency and investing it in another and calling it economic stimulation. This is madness. Again, that's according to a WhatsApp message. We don't know by what means or methods they are sponsoring this year's St. Lucia Jazz. Could be in kind. I'm not saying water, because water is scarce. I'm not saying it's water. It could be the expertise in one form or another. Could be through their manpower. So before we criticize Wasco for being a sponsor of the St. Lucia Jazz, we should ask, what exactly are they sponsoring? And again, as we normally do, the leadership, the management of Wasco, if they care to, can call this broadcast and clarify. 4522979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, there's a recurring issue with containers falling on the streets in St. Lucia, and I'm getting concerned. This is the third instance which suggests it's not just an accident, but rather a lack of caution. The situation is hazardous, and I think it would be wise to relocate the containers during nighttime hours when there's less foot traffic. This would significantly reduce the risk, especially considering how often this is happening. Fortunately, there has not been any injuries so far. Let's see if we have a call on the line. In the meantime, let me go through our WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, just want to address the problem for no selling of alcohol on Good Friday. Think this should change. And that's according to a WhatsApp message. Let's take a WhatsApp call. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you are on the air. Hello? Okay, we have lost that call. But continue to call us nonetheless. Once again, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Somebody says there, boy Tim, good and bad news. I finally got my tax returns, and lo and behold, this government is committing fraud against poor people, and here is why. Can you recall the year in which the tax limit was raised from 184K to 254K? Reason I'm asking is because I know it was nowhere around 2013, yet IRD is calculating and processing our taxes from as far back as 2013 on the new tax limit of 254K. On their own filing system, I calculated over 4,000 in returns for myself and now receiving under 1,000. The government and the comptroller need to address this immediately because this calls for a class action lawsuit, and the people of this country need to come together to fight what's rightfully theirs. One person alone cannot do it. Another WhatsApp message, and somebody says there, good afternoon. What can you make me understand what's happening in St. Lucia? Lucians, we need Jesus. Lord, put a hand. That's according to a WhatsApp message. Another one says, am I wrong that while the government is celebrating record unemployment, it shows that unemployment is increasing from 10.8% in 2024 to 12.6% in 2025? So what exactly are we celebrating? According to a WhatsApp message. And let us see if we have some more of your messages. Once again, we are waiting your calls at 452-2979 and WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's see a early good afternoon to you, Janti. Let's find out what is happening in the chat rooms.
Good afternoon, Tim. Starting off on YouTube, our first comment to read. I think he did well during his tenure. It's good that his contract is renewed. The government is playing with the citizens' health. Come on, St. Lucians. Y'all all preferred politicians better than your health. Moving to Facebook, our first comment reads, I don't know Vern God, but I really like that man. Tim, Vern has never been commissioner. He was given a uniform to use for public appearances by the commissioner when needed. PJP has to break the heartbreaking news to Ronald Phillip and let him know that he's just not fit for the job of police commissioner. We have another commenter saying, well, Verngard just showed that he is better than the rest. Bellalesh to all those who thought otherwise. What? A hospital is needed and not a building. And I guess what you cannot do is hold him accountable because he told you and you did not listen. Ignorance is bliss. We have a few more commenters saying, Tim Lynch told us on NewsSpin that there was a fire in the laundry. Dr. Sylvia Wilson, please call and update. Now alone you'll want to ask questions. We have another comment here reading, Tim, what are you saying? The hospital is a hall for dance? St. Lucians are not tired of being fooled by speeches? Questions that will never get an answer. We have a few more comments from our Facebook page saying, this is so crazy. What does Kenny have to say now? That is the hypocrisy I don't like. They know it wasn't right, but because of politics, he stood there saying it's good for the people, shaking my head. Kenny, you must take that back now. Emma said the hospital will be ready in 1 year. We have another comment saying, Kenny should have never been allowed to just sail away into the sunset without being investigated or sanctioned. Not merely taken for a ride. I will never enter a vehicle if PJP is the driver. The first guy they asked to give the hospital the pass mark said he would not lose his reputation on that for the hospital. They sent Renault to pay him a big sum of money. He still turned them down, so the hospital will be going to hell and back and will still not open. We have another comment reading, the box, in my opinion, looks so much better than the hut-looking structure. And our final comment, Tim, they're definitely not sponsoring water. Maybe they're sending their workers as backup dancers. They are dancing all over the internet. Back to you.
Thank you so much. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you, NewsSpin statistician. You are on the air.
Tippy, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
How are you, bro?
I'm all right. How about you?
I'm cool. Janty, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Tim, I want to take this opportunity to welcome Verngard back to his position in a confirmed status, that is. Tim, I don't know this young man personally. He came in whilst I was on my way out. But I'm impressed with all his intentions, his coolness, and his general demeanor. He's not boastful, he's not arrogant, and you can tell that he knows what he's about. But I would like to make a recommendation to Mr. Gad, now that he's in his driver's seat, to move as speedily as he can to elevate Mr. Elvis Thomas and Mr. Victorin to move up to the ranks of Deputy Commissioner of Police. I know that is up to the Public Service Commission, but these two young men are potential commissioners and successors to Mr. Verngard. These two young men have what it takes to work alongside Verngard to bring this police force to a stable position. I'm also impressed with Mr. Troy Lamontagne. He's another young man I do not know, but I'm impressed with what I've been hearing from him. There are other ASPs, especially from the female ranks, that I've been hearing about. I don't know these people. But Tim, the future of the force looks good. Verngard, keep your head up and do what it takes to bring the public confidence back into the Royal Central Police Force. God bless you, my brother. Thank you.
NewsSpin statistician, thank you so much for your contribution. 452-2979. Once again, your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And let's see if we have a WhatsApp message. And somebody says there, Tim, the MP for Castries Central has a client pending compensation. Okay, I don't think I should be reading this one on the air. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. And somebody says there, St. Lucia has become a big joke in the eyes of the rest of the world. Too much corruption in a small island. Pato is on the line. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Timmy.
Yes,
How are
Pato.
you?
I'm okay. How about you?
Yeah. And good afternoon to the sister.
Jante.
Shanti. Yeah. Good afternoon, Shanti. Yeah. Timmy, I have a situation, something I want to address. While they had the debate in the parliament, how many people that did not talk? Well, okay, that's not a question.
Four of them did not speak. Four did not speak.
Okay, four of them.
Yeah.
So why we have a problem with one and we don't have a problem with the other three?
Because we are hypocrites. Simple.
Exactly. And that is what is keeping the country behind. Too much hypocrites. You understand? Now, the people that put in Chasney there, they don't have a problem with Chasney. They don't have a problem. It's the people that did not vote Chasney that has a problem with him. You understand? Now, if you realize that the man did not have nothing good to talk about, why you wanted him to talk? Huh? Which one? One of the artists sing a song, if you have nothing good to do, just keep your mouth shut, something like that. You understand? I think it was Lucky Dube. You understand? He had nothing good to say, so he did not say anything. So now you have a problem with he did not say anything, and you would still have a problem if he had said something which was not good. You see where it's coming from, of course. Talk about.
I heard a certain talk show host this morning, guy who always defends the St. Lucia Labour Party administration, saying that in light of the fact that, you have the tension in the Middle East and so many things happening on the world stage that could affect St. Lucia, now is the time to hear from the leader of the opposition. In such an instance, I would much prefer to hear from a minister who is responsible for the island's tourism industry. He is responsible for investment. He is responsible for CIP. He is responsible for commerce. I want to hear from this gentleman. And more so, even more than him, I want to hear from the international relations minister. The man who's serving as a conduit between St. Lucia and the outside world. I want to hear from him more than the leader of the opposition.
I agree.
That does not make sense to me. I'd much prefer to hear all the MPs. But if I were given a choice, I'd prefer to hear from Mr. Alva Baptiste, because he's the island's foreign minister, and more so the CIP minister, Dr. Ernest Hilaire.
And some people seem to have no problem with that. Your business, they are in charge to give you a report, to let you know what's happening. You are asking a question, you are not getting an answer, and then you don't have a problem with that. But you have a problem with Chasney that whether you agree or don't agree, he cannot change anything. Because before they came in there, the eyes already had it. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel that, I don't want to go too deep in that, but it bothers me sometimes. Because four people did not talk, you only have a problem with one person, and you know that person don't have nothing good to say, but yet you have a problem with it. These are hypocrites, you understand? So I'm just leaving that as for today. May you have a blessed day.
You too, sir. Thank you so much for calling, Patu. 452-2979. Once again, your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says, Alan is the man for the job. If elections were to call tomorrow, I will still vote the UWP all the way. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, good afternoon, watching as always. And here's hoping that you're having yourself an enjoyable Wednesday and hope you are feeling better. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Tim, it says there, the RSLPF had a massive promotion process in the absence of Mr. God. The list is out, Tim. Everyone who got promoted are openly supporters of a political party, the political party of the day, small and big. Deserving officers were overlooked, even when they were recommended by the departments just to take care of the boys and the girls. This is sad. Promotions in the force are now payment for political loyalty. Even gazetted officers without the needed qualifications were promoted without a process. No interview, no advertisement, nothing. Someone should really take this process to court. The Public Service Commission has failed us. Would we hire doctors without qualifications? And that is according to a WhatsApp message. And somebody says that, Tim, the mood is red, so they do as they please, yet the people follow them, even when the mood is against our people of St. Lucia. And this one is coming from the one and only Appa. Let's see if we have some more of your messages. And somebody says there via WhatsApp, Tim, I'm not even calling on the Lord. I'm calling on NewsSpin for help, where my help comes from, because without NewsSpin, how would I know what is going on with sensible discussion? This government needs to be commissioned, so it will be an embarrassment to this government. Also, the Prime Minister said his government is there to solve problems created by Chasney. So please identify what he has solved. Please, Tim. Again, that's according to a WhatsApp message. 4522979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's see if we have some more of your messages. Turn my attention to you. Janti, okay, we have a call on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Guy Joseph.
How are you doing, sir?
I am okay, sir. How about you?
I'm doing well. You realize I've not been calling.
Yes, I was about to ask you if that's the first time you're calling since the last general election.
Yeah, for this year.
Okay.
No, for this year.
For this year. All right.
Tim, I basically believe I listen to your programs. I listen to the callers and what their views, and continues to be the leading program to listen to. At least you get a feel of what is happening in St. Lucia. But from an opposition standpoint, I generally feel that there's almost nothing new to see. Everything that we said leading up to the election, the status quo continues. So I've heard so much about the water situation, Tim, in St. Lucia. I'm baffled by what has been happening. And we've had rain. I mean, we've had rain almost every day. And yet still we seem to have all of these issues. I don't know. I had to buy a couple extra tanks, Tim, to make sure I harvest enough rainwater. And I'm fortunate in Forest there we always have rain.
So you're following the advice of the Prime Minister?
Well, yes, because here's where we are, Tim. There was a time when, growing up, you had to have your drum of water to collect rainwater. Now we don't use drums anymore. So are we really going forward? Are we really developing? Or have we reverted to where we used to be 30 and 40 years ago when it comes to water? Because you remember there was a time, Tim, and I'm sure you're old enough, when the opening ceremony for a standpipe.
It was big
was
news.
a big thing in St. Lucia.
Big news. Big thing in St. Lucia.
Ribbon cutting and everything.
Yeah.
And then we moved away from standpipes and we ended up with water from taps in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
But now we seem to be going backward. Now, Tim, I want to say something to the listeners of NewsSpin. Not that I really intended to speak about this. But you remember after Hurricane Thomas and Roseau Dam got damaged, not just the sill, the water, the pump house and everything, there was extensive damage. And the information was that we did not even know how quickly we would be able to get access to the dam, far less to get it. In fact, we had tried to get a helicopter from Brazil to airlift a massive pump to the site because the roads were so badly damaged. We didn't have to go through that because we got a good team of local contractors who was able to open that road within between 3 and 5 days for us. But Tim, I want to remind St. Lucians, there is still enough river water in St. Lucia to do the things that we need to do and not be totally dependent upon Roseau Dam. And I will raise a matter that has been controversial during my time in government. You remember we were doing the Wavin Poisson intake just before you climb the Bad Lil, Team, next to the bridge on the left-hand side. You see there's a little blue and white building there that was owned by Wasco.
Yes.
And just after you cross the bridge, if you go into Miami, there was a reservoir there. When we measured the water flow back then, we were getting just a little, it was ranging between 900,000 and 1.2 million gallons of water from there. So what we did was we started recommissioning this facility. We had spent days trying to desil the dam, but the reservoir. The more we desilted, remember you had a lot of landslides and the silt kept coming down. So we didn't. Then we tackled the Vanna intake. And my brother had gotten a job with it because he was the one who had a 350 Hitachi excavator, and you needed a long boom excavator to go down into the path where you had to remove the sill to get that old system back up and running. They said, oh, you paid your brother money for work he did not do. All the records are there, Tim. In fact, there were two contractors. Kurt Cherry was the other one who was preparing the old reservoir. And out of there, you could get close to 1.5 million gallons of water. So, Tim, if we average between the Vanna intake, that's just before you, when you leave the Belle Gap and you go into Roseau, and not Roseau, but going through Vanna, there's that bridge without any railing. You see, there's that river bash and things there. You see how much water is flowing in that river? There was an intake just a little higher. So from these two intakes, you could get in excess of 2 million gallons of water a day. And it's along the same pipeline that is going to the Feebles treatment plant. So you don't have no extravagant amount of work to do to get that water to the treatment plant to be treated. So think of it, Tim. 2 million gallons of water a day from these two sources. For 1 month at 30 days, you're talking about 60 million gallons of water. How much water are we going to bring out of Dominica to sustain what we need? So the idea behind this, and remember we started that in 2011, We lost the elections in 2011. Well, 2010, late 2010 into 2011, because remember Hurricane Thomas was around October, November, thereabout.
Yeah.
So when we talk about resolving the water issues, it is amazing. It was Labour Party who won the election, abandoned the projects that was ongoing and the works that had been done, and forgot about it completely. We were out of government for 5 years. When we came back into government, that project was not tackled because you had a bigger problem at the Roseau Dam where the extraction valve was blocked. And any amount of water that you had removed from the top, once you had gone past the extraction point at the top, you could not get water. So this is not so difficult. The rivers are still there. It's still flowing. Anybody can go and measure the flow of the river and see how much water we can get from it. Tim, I just wanted to say this so that St. Lucians understand. Governments can play games. They can say, because this government started that project, I'm not going to continue it. But at the end of the day, it's the people who pay the price. That is what is happening to us in St. Lucia today. So I hope that people will understand. It's not a shortage of water supply in St. Lucia. And if you go to Bogus and you look at the flow of the river there, you ever ask yourself why Hill 20 no longer have water? You remember Hill 20? That's in Babon Road.
Yes, I remember.
The treatment plant. There are still many reservoirs between La Saucière and Pitoflo, you know, and these rivers are still flowing. So, but who, the old guard of Wasco, who knew where every water intake was. Now, I knew these areas because my brother used to work with forestry, and we've walked that entire forest area from Pitoflo all the way to La Saucière. I've fished in every river inside there. So we know, and you will get 5, 6 old reservoirs that used to be there. But all of these projects have been abandoned because, and there's total dependence for Castries Basin from Roseau Dam. And that is one of the challenges that we have there. So, Tim, I'm hoping that Wasco will pay attention and realize that there are things that can be done to bring immediate relief, so that if they continue the desilting of the Roseau Dam, that during the time they are desilting the Roseau Dam, can you imagine if they can pull 2 million gallons of water from Vanna intake and Wavin Poisson? How much of a relief that would be while you allow the sediment to settle in Roseau Dam, so you could do more desilting. And these are the things that can be done to resolve the problem. I'll give you 2 bits of information. I heard there's some UAE person who is looking at doing the project with some Trinidadians to desil the dam. Have you received any information on this, Tim?
No, I haven't.
All right. So I heard there's somebody from Dubai and teaming up with some Trinis to be the ones to do the desilting of the Roseau Dam, which was a project already being done by St. Lucian contractors through the Caribbean Development Bank. I just want to profit the opportunity, Tim, to say there's not going to be Good Friday cricket this Good Friday on my part, because the playing field is under reconstruction. Well, at least they put in some grass with a nice surface on the playing field. So the playing field in Forestier cannot be used for cricket. So a lot of the people who have been messaging me and have been sending out messages is to inform them that we are not going to have the Good Friday cricket that I usually have. I have not heard any other events or activities, but as far as I know, I am not able to have the cricket because the field is not available. So I hope that since you are the most listened to talks,
most monitored,
those monitoring will be aware that we are not having cricket. Thank you very much.
But before you go, let me ask you, how does the future look like for you, in terms of politics, in terms of you possibly contesting the Cashry South East seat or another seat in the next general election?
Very unlikely, Tim.
Okay.
That is highly unlikely at this point in time. I think I've made my contribution. I've taken my blows. I've given blows. You get things done. I don't rule out anything in life and say that's impossible, but that's why I said highly unlikely at this point in time. If you permit me to say, is this debate about whether the leader of the opposition should speak or not? You see, the very fact that the Prime Minister would give the leader of the opposition an allotted time to speak and tell him, well, you have 5 minutes to make up your mind whether you're going to speak or not. I think we need to respect the Parliament of St. Lucia. And if the Speaker of the House and the leader of government, the Prime Minister, now sometimes I'm confused about the present arrangement in that, because you have a leader of government business, you have a Prime Minister, and you have a Speaker of the House. Are you aware of that, Tim?
Yes.
The Prime Minister is not the leader of government business.
Yeah, that's Dr. Ernest
the leader of government business.
Yes.
In the Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure whether they cross boundaries in terms of what they are responsible for. But the standing orders is what governs the sitting and the Parliament of St. Lucia. How long ago, Tim, did they change the legislation for a deputy speaker who is not an elected member of the House? Why hasn't that come through?
My understanding is because somebody has challenged it legally.
Because they didn't do it properly, Tim. Because anybody who is not a member of the House is considered a stranger. So they amended one part of the Constitution without attending to the other part. And these are the fellas who think that they are so bright and they know everything, So sometimes you just let them do the nonsense that they are doing. Now, I was saying, the standing orders say that, and that's why the Prime Minister said everybody is equal in the House. There's no particular speaking order to say this one must speak and that one must speak after them. It says whoever catches the eye of the speaker. So if 4 persons put their lights on together to speak, what does that say, Tim? So the standing orders envisage that nobody is going to sit down and put a schedule of who is speaking when. That is how it is. That is how the standing orders. So until that is changed, and we are going to say, well, look here, this person will speak and then that person will speak and that. And it don't have to be persons, but it can be positions like Prime Minister, leader of government business, leader of the opposition MP. But Tim, the law is clear. The standing orders are clear that nobody can direct somebody when to speak in the House. Other than the Prime Minister making his presentation, which is set, everybody else is free at their own time to make a decision to speak. And I will remind St. Lucians on that. When Sir John was there, we agreed on a speaking order. And if you go back to Hansard of 2007 budget debate, we had agreed, okay, it was 11-6, I think, at the time. So 2 members of the government would speak, 1 member of the opposition, or 1 member of the opposition, 2 members of the government. When we got to prime time, which was about 5 o'clock, 2 two members of the opposition spoke back to back because it was prime time. And you know how that happened? Because as one was rounding off, because they sit next to each other, and if my memory serves me right, I think it was Alva and Musa were the two persons who spoke back to back. And you can go, Hansard will show that what I'm saying there, it actually happened while we had followed a pattern of 1, 2, 1, 2. They broke the pattern because they wanted to speak prime time. And you know what I said to Sir John? I said to Sir John, don't ask me to follow any order with these fellas because they don't follow any orders. We agreed on something, and then they because it was convenient for them. And they were right, because it's just an understanding. It is not something that you are obligated to go by. And they knew that, so they used it to their advantage. I am saying that the leader of the opposition, so if we had 17 not team, wouldn't the members of government speak?
Yeah, all of them would have.
In Barbados, where the government wins all the seats. So you're saying because there's nobody from the opposition to speak that some members of parliament should not speak? Suppose we had a 17 not in St. Lucia. What excuse would the members have given for not speaking? So whether Alan Shasney is present, absent, or whatever it is the responsibility of government MPs. And you know what I believe the law should be upon reflection? If you cannot account for the previous year's budget that you manage, why should you be given a new budget when you have not reported on the achievements of the old budget? Then it would mean that every minister of government would have an obligation to come and report to the people of St. Lucia. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. You just heard there from former government minister, Mr. Guy Joseph. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. Still to come, some of your calls and your WhatsApp messages. And standing by is Jante to provide you with yet another update.
Advance your career at Lightspark Training with a globally recognized certification. Conveniently located on High Street, Castries, Lightspark offers a wide range of programs to make the most of your career. Certifications in project management, risk management, quality management, marketing, ACC accounting, human resources, Microsoft, Cisco, and IT technician certification, graphic design, web design, and programming. Complete a diploma in accounting in 6 months or a bachelor's degree in just over a year. Call us today at 451-8918 or visit us at www.lightspark.com.
What happens when the music is stripped down to the truth? On April 29th, First National Bank presents the Teddyson John Experience at the luxurious Royalton Resorts. Raw vocals, live music, real emotion, an intimate night where Teddyson John opens the heart of the music. Also from Trinidad and Tobago, featuring Nyla Blackman. From St. Lucia, Michael Robinson. Herb Black. I'm so sorry. Umpa. And Ricky T. Sharing their stories behind the songs and connects with you up close. This is more than a concert. It's a feeling. Stripped, April 29th. Royalton Resorts, limited seats. One unforgettable night. It's definitely my type of night and my type of vibes.
Tickets for this event are $100 USD. Food and drinks inclusive. Ticket locations: Anthony's Jewelry, Castries and Baywalk, The Wave, and online fourcirclestickets.com.
A newly renovated home is a special feeling, and lighting can be a big part of that. Like the LED seasonal lights many now use for energy saving and safety over the holidays. It's worth the effort to install LED lights everywhere, and you don't have to be an expert to change a bulb. Remember to turn off all lights when not in use. This includes LED lights. Saving energy is what's smart.
Where me see a jour, dis-moi la KSP plein bon glow. Si t'es la pani pressure. Moi ni tongue, moi ni glow, mais money pressure. Ou savez ça moi besoin? A pomme. Ça c'est bêtise. Moi ka aller ko Europa. Yo ni toute pomme pour toute condition. Qui pour kay, qui pour business. Yo ni pli mer pour pomme cette ici. Yo ka ranger pomme aussi qui besoin service. Prendre pomme yo c'est Léo. Pomme ça c'est major. I bon tout bonnement. Tant si ten moi actuellement. Glow ka Fante. Europa ni pomme gloleo anda pour les nerfs, joange et gris. Visitez Europa ambassade Gozile. Les mots au téléphone 452-0763.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
So fast pay, a new and easy way to pay. So fast pay, so fast pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
So fast pay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. So fast pay, so fast pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
Chronic back pain, arthritis, spinal injuries, nerve disorders, even painful cramps. These conditions affect daily life, but you don't have to live with pain. Every day matters when it comes to your health. At La Clinique du Corps, we provide fast, accurate diagnosis with advanced GE certified MRI technology and internationally recognized specialists. Our focus is safe, effective treatment that restores mobility, relieves pain, and gives you back your quality of life. Call 451-6559 today. 451-6559. La Clinique du Corps, because time is vital in health.
First National Bank is here for you. Let's make your first wish come true. With a mortgage built around you, tailored to make sure everything's smooth. 100% financing, it's true. Get a first wish mortgage, it's the best move. Get your mortgage now and fulfill your first wish. Just knowing that First National Bank is here for you. Let's make your first wish come true.
Visit your First National Bank branch or firstnationalbankonline.com to apply for your first wish mortgage.
At Caribbean Pastouche Limited, we offer high-quality products from Martinique, and our ready mix is made with casting sand, not regular pumice. Compared to regular pumice, casting sand saves you in your cement use. At Caribbean Pastouche Limited, our materials come from porcelain stones, which is used as an additive in creating cement. Caribbean Pastouche Limited is located in Bexon, behind Essential Hardware. Give us a call at 489-0074. We're open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Sundays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Caribbean Pastouche Limited. Quality construction, our priority.
The ultimate Easter Sunday experience is coming as Optimum Events presents Rise 6 Azul. Rise 6 Azul. Shades of blue and unforgettable energy featuring soca sensation Vaughn.
Everybody know what our behavior. From July reach in Grenada.
Vaughn live.
Just take a shot when they see me dog. I want to get drunk for the carnival.
The Grenadian bad boy, Vaughn. Also, Ezra, Sly, and the Impulse Band, alongside the best DJs. Easter Sunday, 3 p.m. The Soufre Stadium comes alive. Tickets, $120 regular. More at the door. VIP, $400. Available Available at the Cell Outlets island-wide. Wings of Love in Castries. Mambo's Bar in Soufre. Or online at fourcirclestickets.com. Powered by Vac Event Production. Power 97.9 FM. Heineken. Bank of St. Lucia. Courts. Bounty Rum. J.P. Shennett. And Blue Waters. On Easter Sunday, we rise.
The last time I knew the leader of the opposition was a big man. He represented his constituency for 3 terms. If he chooses not to speak, this is his prerogative. I have no control over the leader of the opposition. He's a big man who was a former prime minister. He's going the 2nd term as leader of the opposition. If he chooses not to speak, that is his prerogative.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning.
The Opposition United Workers' Party would have drew reference to the idea that 3 of your most senior ministers did not debate at the budget last week.
They also are big men.
And we have captured this one, Big Man Energy. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. We have another call online. Hello, good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Timothy.
Hi,
Hello.
good afternoon
Timothy.
to you.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon, Timothy. Right, and I would also like to speak good afternoon to
Jante.
Jante.
Yes.
Jante. A blessed Holy Week to you, Timothy, and to all the listeners.
Thank you.
Timothy, I'm calling to speak on the whole issue of the debate in the House and what has gone down. And I listened to your previous caller, my colleague, Guy Joseph, and he dealt at length and very well with the whole question of who determines who should speak. And that's Standing Order 32.1. And as he said very correctly, it is the member who indicates to the speaker that he wishes to speak, and the speaker calls upon him. I'm not going to go into all that because Guy dealt with it perfectly. What I want to say, Timothy, and I do have a lot to say, I hope you will give me the time. I try always to be very brief, but I think that this matter is of sufficient public importance to deal with it. But I will summarize what my observations are, and then I'll break it down a little bit. I have to say, Timothy, according to what I see, the Prime Minister is acting like a bully. The Prime Minister is acting like a bully. That's number 1. Number 2, the Speaker of the House has completely abdicated his responsibility to regulate the conduct of business in the House. Timothy, I've said the Prime Minister is acting like a bully. I also think he's acting like a clown. I listened and I watched the Prime Minister say something to the effect that he will clarify the processes and procedures in the House. Who is he? Who is the Prime Minister to say that he will clarify the processes and procedures in the House? That's the Speaker's role, which the Speaker has abdicated. Guy went through Standing Order 32, which says that the member will rise. It says that the member will rise. Obviously, we don't rise here, because this is based upon the English Parliament, where you have 650 MPs and they have to rise. They have to literally stand up so the Speaker can see them. But here, we put our light on. The Speaker should have used this opportunity to call the attention of members to the standing orders and to let members know that it is the member who decides when he speaks, subject only to the Speaker's choosing a member if 2 indicate they wish to speak. So this charade has been going on. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. And the Speaker has not used this opportunity to set the record straight and call the attention of members to the standing orders to make it absolutely clear that as per the rule, the member decides when he can speak. Number one, the Speaker has abdicated his responsibility. Second point, Order 35.5. That order provides, Timothy, that no member shall impute improper motives to any other member of either chamber. I listened to the Prime Minister breach that standing order, and the Speaker did nothing. I listened to the Prime Minister referring to the Leader of the Opposition as arrogant and saying that he has disgust for the people of St. Lucia. Why? Because he exercised his right as per Standing Order 32 to determine when he will speak. The Speaker should have called upon the Prime Minister and put it to him that he had breached the standing orders. He has no right to call the Leader of the Opposition arrogant. He has no right to say that he's showing disgust for the people of St. Lucia, because that is imputing improper motives to the Leader of the Opposition, and that's in breach of the standing order. If I may say, Timothy, it is the Prime Minister who is arrogant. It is he who is arrogant because he is trying to tell somebody when to speak, and he has no right to do it. It is the Prime Minister who is arrogant because he is purporting to be the Speaker, I should say, because he wants to explain the processes and procedures, the very processes he flouts, he doesn't understand, and he has no respect for. You know what's worse? The Speaker is allowing him to do it. Another standing order I wish to draw to the attention, and I would like to ask the Speaker of the House of Assembly to do some homework. When he goes home this weekend, well, I say this weekend because we have Holy Week, and Timothy, to be honest with you, it was not my intention to call because I've already started my observances, but it's a long weekend, and I fear that after we come back, the topic will be different. So I wanted to at least lay this matter to rest or put it on the table. There is a standing order that we don't often refer to, and it's Standing Order 38.1, okay, which speaks specifically to the closure of debate and the protection of the rights of minority members. Let me read Standing Order 38.1. After a question has been proposed, any member may at any time during the course of debate rise in his place and claim to move that the question be now put. And, listen, unless it appears to the chair that the motion is an abuse of the rules of the House or an infringement of the rights of the minority of members present, the question shall be put forthwith. The Speaker has a responsibility to protect the rights of minority members when it comes to the closing of the debate. I would like the Speaker of the House of Assembly, I will do it myself, to study the Standing Order Section 38.1 and see whether he should not have invoked this standing order to protect the rights of minority members as to the question of the closing of the debate. And if the Speaker finds that Section 38 is not applicable, if he finds that, the Speaker under Section 88, Section 88.1, the Speaker has power to regulate the conduct of business matters not provided for in the standing orders. And the decision in all cases shall lie within the discretion of the Speaker. Timothy, the standing orders refer to the rights of the protection of minority members because it envisaged such a scenario. And it is the Speaker's responsibility to ensure that the debate is fair, it is balanced, the minority has opportunity. First of all, their rights need to be respected as to when they speak. And secondly, even if the rules do not provide for it, the Speaker has to make sure the rights of the minority are protected. Timothy, so the leader of the opposition's open letter gave his reasons why he chose not to speak. He doesn't even have to give a reason why he chooses not to speak. At which point, it is he who decides that. But it is so unfortunate. There's been so much obfuscation. There's been so much dishonesty. You know, people are trying to pull wool over people's eyes as to what the standing orders say. The Prime Minister is behaving like a bully because the leader of the opposition does not allow himself to be intimidated, because the leader of the opposition knows his rights and ensures that he protects himself and the people out there who have voted for him. The Prime Minister, in his arrogant fashion, has turned on him and wants to quote unquote spin it. And now he's saying he will talk about the processes and clarify processes and procedures. I'm calling on the Speaker of the House of Assembly to do his job. And I'm calling on the people of St. Lucia. You know, Timothy, in closing, I am comforted by a passage in the Bible, Timothy, which speaks about people listening, right? People are seeing, but they're not perceiving. They are hearing. Let me read it, Timothy. In order that they may look, but not see and perceive, and may hear, but not grasp and comprehend, lest they should turn again, and their sins should be forgiven them. I paraphrase. So what we are doing in St. Lucia is we are selectively blinding ourselves because we don't want to see the truth, because we will have to admit that this government is taking us for a ride. A lot of us went and voted for this government, and in order to justify it to ourselves, we are refusing to see what is obviously in front of us, because we will have to admit to ourselves that we were wrong. That is what is happening there. So it's blatant, it's in front of us, but we don't want to admit we made a mistake. So even what is plain for children to see, we are putting a curtain over our eyes so that we do not see it, just so that we do not have to admit that we made a mistake. Timothy, I'm praying that over this solemn feast, we will all think very deeply, look at the situation that really is in our country, and really take stock of what is going on. Because there will come a time, there will come a time when it will be in our face and we will not be able to hide from it. We will have to accept responsibility. We will have to see what we do not want to see. We will have to hear what we do not want to hear. And we will have to confess what we do not want to confess. I say this in love and in charity. I say it for myself and also for others. And I will do my best to be guided by my own counsel. I thank you, Timothy.
Thank you so much for calling, ma'am. former Speaker of the St. Lucia House of Assembly, former Government Minister Sarah Flood Bobra. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. When we come back, some more of your calls, your WhatsApp messages, and of course we'll be hearing from Janté.
Advance your career at Lightspark Training with a globally recognized certification. Conveniently located on High Street, Castries, Lightspark offers a wide range of programs to make the most of your career. Certifications in project management, risk management, quality management, marketing, ACC accounting, human resources, Microsoft, Cisco, and IT technician certification, graphic design, web design, and programming. Complete a diploma in accounting in 6 months or a bachelor's degree in just over a year. Call us today at 451-8918 or visit us at www.lightspark.com.
Must have a strong foundation, and at Caribbean Pastouche Limited, we offer top quality aggregate materials at great prices. We supply high quality ready mix, cast in sand, and plaster in sand. We also take special requests for specific materials that you may require for your building projects. Caribbean Pastouche Limited is located in Bexon behind Essential Hardware. Give us a call at 489-0074. We're open from Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Sundays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Caribbean Pastouche Limited. Quality construction, our priority.
First National Bank is here for you. Let's make your first wish come true. With a mortgage built around you, tailored to make sure everything's smooth. 100% financing, it's true. Get a first wish mortgage, it's the best move. Get your mortgage now and fulfill your first wish. Just knowing that First National Bank is here for you. Let's make your first wish come true.
Visit your First National Bank branch or firstnationalbankonline.com to apply for your first wish mortgage.
La Clinique de Corps leads the Caribbean in advanced MRI, aligned with globally recognized standards. Avoid overseas stress, delays, and cancelled scans. Reports in 24 to 48 hours. No translation, no overseas processing. Your doctor receives your imaging directly for seamless continuity of care. All major insurance accepted. Call 451-6559. Once again, 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950. The WhatsApp number 721-9950.
Need branded apparel that looks sharp and shows up on time? Welcome to Imprinted Designs, where every stitch counts. We specialize in custom embroidery and t-shirt printing for businesses, teams, events, you name it. From embroidered logos on polished Oxford shirts, available in a variety of colors for men and women, to bold, high-quality printed tees that turn heads, we do it all. Bring your own shirts or choose from ours. Small runs, big orders, rush jobs, no problem. At Imprinted Designs, we're built for speed, efficiency, and clean professional results delivered on time, every time. So if you want your brand to stand out, not wait around, come down to Imprinted Designs at the Valmore Plaza or hit us up at 451-2920 or email address imprinteddesignsSLU@gmail.com. Imprinted Designs, where every stitch counts.
Exceeding your expectations is what we strive for at Lazarus Funeral Home. Losing a loved one isn't something you can foresee. Since the beginning, affordability has been one of our priorities. Every day we're proving that burials don't have to be expensive. If cost is a factor in your time of bereavement, call Lazarus Funeral Home. We have coffins starting at $800 plus taxes. Nothing can cause more disappointment than poor quality. Help us help you keep your last memory of your loved one sacred. Make it special. Make it Lazarus Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Located at Bibliotheque Castries at 452-7491 and New Dock Road V4 at 454-6555.
Stop paying full price. With Flow, you can slash your bill in half. You heard right. Cut your mobile bill in half when you add mobile to internet. That's the most reliable Wi-Fi at home. Plus, all the data you need on the go. So don't wait. Double your connection and double your value for half the price. Add mobile to internet today. Visit in-store or online at discoverflow.co for more details.
Bob and Dave were very proud to buy their mom a new energy-saving fridge with lots of smart settings. They remember the old ways of energy saving. Mom always said, "Close the fridge, you're wasting current." Smart advice then, smart advice now. Close the fridge, you're wasting current. Saving energy is what's smart.
Art in the City is back, rooted in culture, bold in expression. Brought to you by the Cultural Development Foundation. On Friday, April 17th, the celebration begins in Beaufort. Art in the Street at the New Market Complex from 10 a.m., followed by readings and rhythms at 7 p.m. On April 24th and 25th, indulge in the Icon Series 4-course gala dinner at Sandals Grand, honoring culinary master Edward Chef Harry Joseph. On April 26th and 27th, theater lovers gather at Warehouse 11 for Don't Call Me Baby Doll, written and directed by Travis Weeks. Or head to the Caribbean Cinemas for screenings from the Jumpstart Film Project. From April 27th to May 16th, experience Life in Color, a visual arts exhibition at the Audi Showroom and Orange Grove Plaza, featuring works by St. Lucian master artists. On April 28th, the stage comes alive at Sandals Grand with 10 to 1, the Mighty Sparrow musical, produced by Raul Gibbons and directed by Louis McWilliams. On May 1st, journey to Ancillary for Fish Friday, an evening of storytelling with George Fish Alphonse and Kidel Sonny. May 2nd and 3rd, experience Triptych, directed by Kendall Hippolyte at Warehouse 11. On Monday 4th, feel the power of poetry at Voices of the Underground, featuring world-renowned dub poet Linton Kwesi Johnson. From May 5th to 7th, Artscape concerts pop up in unexpected spaces, dance, theater, music. And on May 7th and 8th, discover handcrafted treasures at T-Tax ABC, Craft and Souvenir Market. On the Rodney Bay Strip, Art in the City 2026, rooted in culture, bold in expression.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. It is called NewsSpin. Now, this is a talk show that's been missing in action for a while, ever since we took a break for the festive season in December of last year. It has not been back. Imagine it will be back this evening. That's DBS's Newsmaker Live. And it will be, wait for this, the 30th season of the broadcast. What does that say about me? The 30th season of Newsmaker Live returns to DBS television this evening from 8:30. And I have a special guest. Will be on DBS television once again. The 30th season of Newsmaker Live on DBS television this evening, 8:30. Turn my attention now to you, Shanti. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room.
Starting off on YouTube, our first comment reads, "They want Chas to speak because they love his ideas. Guy Joseph will be my rep for life. Here's a man that knows the depth of his country, the right guy." Another YouTube comment reading, "Galeta Setlisi. God will rise St. Lucians one day, if it's not too late." Tim, first, I would like to congratulate Mr. God, but I have a question. What was the basis of his contract renewal? Was it based on success or was it jobs for the boys? Moving to Facebook, our first comment reads, "But Tim, it doesn't matter in what capacity Wasco is sponsoring, it comes at a cost to the consumers." Shaking my head. Indeed, Mr. Troy is a hero in the place. Good job done by him. God bless him to continue to do his duties. Mr. Vanguard, don't be afraid to tell it to Philip J. Pierre and his government when they are going wrong. Expose them. We have another comment saying, "Definitely Shas is the man for the job." A prime minister that is saying that Lucians put it in your pipe and smoke it. Shas is not responsible for nothing. So I don't understand how St. Lucians are so stupid. It's high time we hold these people accountable for their actions. We have a few comments here reading. He is not acting like a bully. Philip Pierre is a bully, and he is indeed a clown. Tim, you have a point. You are so right about that. Sarah, PJP, and the Speaker of the Parliament are the same, so anything that Pip does, he's okay with it. St. Lucia is just not a real place, so Alan Chasney will never get justice in the House of Assembly in St. Lucia. We have another comment reading. They cutting the grass behind the grass today. Tim, you will say the mood is red. You know they want to take your neck for that already. If you want to see waterfall, just put PJP by the mic. We have more comments from our Facebook page reading. Is Alan Chasney the one? Is he the one spending our monies? Is he the one making the decisions for the country? Is he the PM? Stop using Alan as bait for your bad decisions. Do your job. PJP needs to stop beating around the bush and answer the questions that they are asking him. He is making ashamed the office of the Prime Minister. Gather here, all SLP members, listen to our guy for ideas. We have another comment saying, tell them, guy, you are the source of information. This government does not have the ability to lead this country. They have no vision. Sarah scolded Kenny Anthony. She would have these little boys and girls in Parliament sitting in class. Another comment here reading, the guy that these hacks can never be at his level. The Third World War will be about water. We've known and heard that for years. So when we don't have water and can't sustain it. The issue with Wasco is not the lack of water, but shortage. We have another comment here saying, in primary school we used to visit Hill 20 catchment. It was a pleasure watching that kind of water boil. Guy, don't give up. Retire in peace, my MP. This is the same man they said that was as teeth and greedy. Look, he's saying I am done with grace. Another NewsSpinner said, and in this new era, you all must stop that nonsense. We're not kids. Even if we are ignorant of a lot of things, when someone starts something, one party stops it. Make it the last time that you do those things. Since when that's the PM's role, laughing out loud. The word PM is just too much for him. Blind leaders of the blind. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Jante, for that update. We have a final call. The leader of the opposition is calling. Good afternoon to you. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
Hi, I'm okay, sir. Good afternoon to you.
So first of all, let me apologize. The last time that we were trying to talk, I was at an airport, and so it was very difficult for us to communicate. So again, I want to apologize to you and to your listeners.
I hope it's a lot better this time.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm also mindful that a couple of candidates from the United Workers' Party have called you, and I will try not to be repetitive of some of the things that they've said. So I think between my letter and clearly what Sarah Flood has said, I think that there ought to be greater clarity as to the proceedings of the House and what is expected of the leader of the opposition and of everyone else. And hopefully that matter is now being put to rest, and hopefully the lessons would have been learned, and then when we get to the appropriations bill, that the problems that we've had over the last couple of years in terms of speaking order hopefully will be resolved. I hope. What I really wanted to call you about today, Tim, is a situation that has happened for many, many years. In fact, I know when I was as Director of Tourism, Minister of Tourism, as Prime Minister, that this issue has been coming up. And I've certainly tried to lend my voice to it. I'm not telling you that mine is the final decision on this issue, but it's an issue that we need to settle once for all, because it has significant implications for the populace. And that's the issue of Queen's Chain or King's Chain, and what the expectations the public should have with this particular issue. I bring it up again today because I heard the minister on the VG Beach project clearly state that it was United Workers' Party that sold the VG Beach property, and that we sold it freehold to the current owners. So I want to say that that is a categorical lie, and that's a convenient position to try to adopt. VG Beach has been freehold for many, many, many years. In fact, it's been freehold since 1944. And how freehold beach land came into effect in St. Lucia was during World War II, the British were in desperate need of arms. And the American at that time were isolationists under Roosevelt and were not supporting the British or the Europeans during World War II. And a very convenient strategy was set up where the British agreed to sell land for arms. You can go and Google, anybody in St. Lucia can go and Google it, land for arms deal, World War II. And what that entailed is that the British sold land to the Americans in exchange that the Americans gave them arms. And there were several pieces of property in St. Lucia that the British, because back in 1994, the British are the ones who were in control of St. Lucia.
1994?
They sold, 1944, sorry.
Yeah.
1944. That several pieces of property were sold. So where Aliyah is, Mont Piedmont, was a U.S. naval base. And that land is freehold. VG Beach was a military base, and that, not the entire VG Beach, but the section at the bottom where the hotel is going to go, that has been freehold land since 1944. And if I'm not mistaken, Latok Hotel Beach is also freehold and was also used as part of as a U.S. military base. And that brings up this question. So we have long, well, first of all, let me just end that. Ernest is lying about VG Beach. And he's doing so to protect himself, because what he's now trying to say is that because they discovered it was freehold and the government pushed back on them in terms of where they could build the physical building, that they had to amend it, and now that's why the building has gone higher. I think that's what he said. I don't know if you listened to the story, Tim. But that doesn't make any sense, because before a developer is going to proceed, they would do exactly what this developer is doing, is to get what? Approval in principle. And it's an approval of principle that those negotiations would have taken place. So I don't buy it for 1 minute that the developer had already put in a plan for a lower property, a lower building. And it's only when they discovered that it was freehold land that the government forced them to push it back. I don't buy that story at all. This government has consistently been hypocrites. If we take Cabot, before Cabot came into existence, on that same piece of land, the 400 acres, the former government, the Labour Party, under Kenny Anthony, approved a development called Raffles. I don't know if you remember Raffles, Tim.
Yes, I do.
So Raffles was a golf course, a hotel, and housing development, exactly like Cabot. And in fact, Raffles was, the groundbreaking was done with Kenny Anthony. And I remember Jack Nicholas being there as well. And work actually had begun on that property. It is when that property went into receivership, the owner had got cancer, and because of the global recession, that's why Cabot bought the property. Because not only were they buying the land, but they also bought all of the plans and the planning approval for that development. So how was it that Raffles was good enough for the Labour Party, but Cabot was not? I leave that an answer for the public to be able to ponder upon. When I came in as Prime Minister, one of the first projects we worked on was with Sandals, and Sandals was going to be building a 10-story building, $360 million investment between Sandals, Grand, and the Landings. Are you familiar with that property, Tim?
Yeah.
And the Labour Party and its surrogates advocated against that development and used about blocking the light of the landings and all kinds of nonsense. but were successful through the courts in stopping the progress of that development. But today, they're approving and supporting a 10-story building at VG Beach. And the same minister said that tourism is the most important industry that we have in St. Lucia, and that anybody who is advocating against the VG Beach project, in essence, would be advocating against themselves. This is the same government that before I came into office in 2016 had already begun negotiations with Teo King. Did you know that, Tim?
I've heard that before, yes.
So we have all the letters. In fact, we have a letter from Philip here when he was the acting prime minister, writing to Teo to tell him how great this project was. And in fact, the framework agreement that the Labour Party was so vehemently opposed to, they were the drafters of it. So in fact, when I came into government, the project design had already been laid out and the framework agreement had already been drafted. The government had basically told Teo they were not willing to proceed with the project at this time because they were going to wait for the elections. And right after the elections, they would have proceeded with the project. But when we decided to proceed with the project, it became now the worst project known in the history of St. Lucia, and it was demonized. We then had the Labour Party are the ones that imposed, if you remember, Tim, the dredging fee on St. Lucians before the dredging began. Is that not true? They're the ones who imposed the dredging fee. So what did you put a dredging fee on for? Was it not with the intention to dredge the dam? And when that dredging fee was imposed through CDB, designs were done for the dredging of the dam. So again, when we came into office, the designs were done, all the contracts pretty much had been issued. The only thing that we did is we broke the project into two parts. So part was to build the silt trap, and then the part was to do the desilting. And the reason why we did that was to allow St. Lucian companies to be able to qualify, because if you did it holistically, it would have been impossible for St. Lucian contractors to have qualified. And I'm very happy that on the first part, a St. Lucian contractor won the bid to do that first part of the project. And I will always stand and protect that policy. But the fact is, it was the Labour Party who came up with the idea, kudos to them, to dredge the dam. Now to all of a sudden want to criticize the same project, and that after the desilting had begun, you get into office and you stop the desilting on the basis of what? The United Workers' Party executed the project and you don't want to give the United Workers' Party any credit? That is a good enough reason to impose this kind of policy on the people of St. Lucia who are now paying the impact of not completing the desilting of the dam? It's lunacy. Then the one that really honestly boggles the mind. The Labour Party decided they were going to privatize our cruise ship business. And the justification for privatizing the project, our cruise business, was because SLASPA had a $20 million loan, and they said that SLASPA could not pay for the loan. Notwithstanding that SLASPA had been paying the loan for already 8 years, because that project started years ago during my administration. I think it was when we came in 2016 that we executed that project through a loan of CDB. A technical team was put together by the Ministry of Finance. The technical team told the government, which was a report to Cabinet, do not proceed with the GPH deal. Don't. Instead, the $2.50 that the government was collecting off of the tax, the cruise ship tax, give that $2.50 now to SLASPA. So it means that SLASPA would be getting $5 a head. The $2.50 they originally were getting, and now the government's $5. And with that $5, SLASPA would more easily be able to pay for the loan, but more importantly, that SLASPA would have been able to now do all of the work that GPH was proposing to do. That advice seemed to have gone out the wind. The same Ernest Hilaire went in and negotiated. How he ended up negotiating, I don't know, because he's in charge of Invest St. Lucia, which is Point Seraphin, and Point Seraphin does not make up part of this deal. So I thought the Prime Minister and Stephenson King would have been the persons to have negotiated this deal. But nonetheless, GPH was given now the $2.50 from SLASPA, the $2.50 from government, $5, and GPH was allowed to increase the tax to $10, making St. Lucia now the most expensive cruise ship port by almost 100% in the Eastern Caribbean. And I think that that's what's affected our arrivals. But we go ahead with that project. And the justification for that, remember, Tim, was that SLASPA had a $20 million loan, and that GPH would take over the $20 million loan, and this was a win-win situation for everyone. Only a couple of weeks ago, the government goes back into Parliament and now gives a guarantee for SLASPA to borrow $40 million, not 20, $40 million with no money. So how is SLASPA going to pay for that? And the question is, why should SLASPA have to pay for that? Because this is berth 4, which is primarily going to be used by the cruise ship company. When they speak about that they want to build a bigger berth for the Oasis class ships, Tim, it is berth 4 with Dolphin points going out, that's where the Oasis class ships are going to go. So why is it that SLASPA now, who could not afford $20 million before, with $2.50, now all of a sudden can afford a $40 million loan, US, with no money? And again, the Prime Minister trying to suggest that this is because of the cargo that you've already moved to Bexar, that you've already made a policy decision that you're going to put a container port in cul-de-sac. So who's being fooled here? Now I want to get now to the bigger issue, Tim. Queen's chain or King's chain. I've said this before, both in my private capacity as a director of tourism. I've said it as a minister of tourism. I've said it as a prime minister. And I've received a significant amount of criticism from the Labour Party. And I'm going to say it again. Queen's chain and King's chain has nothing to do with giving the public access to the beach. Queen's chain and King's chain gives the state access to the beach property if in fact there is a hurricane or a war and there's a time of emergency and they need to access the beach. So they don't have to ask the developer for permission. And that's why genuinely they don't allow people to build on the Queen's chain, so it means completely available. It does not guarantee the public access to the beach. And if we want to have proper access to the beach for the public, it has to be in the covenants of the deed of anybody who owns beachfront land. So the deed of sale, the registered deed for that property would show specific covenants, like articles within that deed that explains what the public's access to that beach is going to be. And we have to understand, what is access to the public beach? Is it that we can drive our car on the beach? Is it we can ride a horse on the beach? Is it we can take our animals on the beach? Is it that we can have a barbecue and a party on the beach? All those things have to be spelled out. And so that everybody knows very clearly what they're entitled to. So understand from me how disturbing it is for a minister to do a press conference and to lie so blatantly about what VG Beach is, rather than taking it as an opportunity to help, I don't want to say educate, inform the general public and how we're going to be able to solve the problem. Because I genuinely believe that solutions should have access to the beach. But if we're going to have now joint use of the beach, then it has to be very clearly articulated so everybody knows what their rights are. And to stop using this as a political football, as an emotional argument, because it's not getting us anywhere and we remain very misinformed. And let me give you the example of this, because I've heard you, Tim, bring up several times on your show the 2 pillars that Sandals put up. And I'm not here to defend Sandals, but I was in the midst of how that happened. And I remember there was a father and a son that were killed on a jet ski at Sandals in the Grill. And what happened was the courts ruled that because they rented the jet ski from the Sandals beach, and Sandals had owned the beach in Jamaica, that Sandals was liable. The insurance company then went and did an audit on all the different Sandals properties. And that is when all of us understood, for the first time, me included, that the Sandals Grand is on freehold land. And it's on freehold land because it was reclaimed. The implications there are that the vendors, the guys, my good friend Valentine and my cousin Stephen Monplaisy, who were selling services off of that beach, and they know, because we've had this open conversation, that the conflict was that Sandals was taking the ultimate responsibility when they rented it from a person right off the beach. And that's why on the other side of the pillars, before the pillars were built, my administration built a public facility for Valentine and for Stephen and for all the other persons who were doing jet skis to have their operations there. So the clients from Sandals could come off the Sandals beach, go to that location, sign their contracts, and therefore it would have taken away the liability from Sandals. The only other way around is that Valentine and Stephen and everybody else would have had to have negotiated a contract with Sandals. And Sandals would have then had to ensure that they were paying a fee and also that they were properly insured. But Sandals did not want that responsibility. And this is the implications as to the ownership and the title of the land. These things need to be discussed publicly. We cannot run away from them. But this government continuously wants to have these emotional discussions and are not bringing the discussions to their final conclusion, where we have a solution that's a win-win for all parties involved.
Okay, we have to
I don't
conclude.
know if you have any questions for
No,
me, Tim,
we have to
but thank
conclude.
you.
We have to conclude. Okay, thank you so much.
But thank you.
All right, you're welcome, sir. Just heard there from former Prime Minister and leader of the opposition, Mr. Alan Chasney. Finally, we have our NewsSpin. I don't think we have gone through this. Our NewsSpin question of the day. The NewsSpin question of the day reads, what do you think about the renewal of Mr. Verngard's contract until 2028? What do you think about the renewal of Mr. Verngard's contract until 2028? And finally, the NewsSpin news of the day. It reads, Mr. Verngard's contract as Commissioner of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has been renewed. His tenure commenced on April the 1st, 2026 and ends in April of 2028. The NewsSpin news of the day. And please don't forget the return of Newsmaker Live, the 30th season of the broadcast. This evening, 8:30 right on DBS television. My name is Timothy Poleon. Goodbye.